Hello. We're doing a thing on this channel. It might not pop off. It's beer and books today, where we obviously drink a beer and we talk about books. I had 3 reviews recorded, but apparently Vivitar is a crappy brand. Can I help you? Go away. And the microphone I had wasn't working, and I said, when I get a new phone, I will just re-record that whole thing, because I had them all recorded. The microphone wasn't working, or one thing and another, and I sat on them for months because obviously I'm not very dedicated to this channel. Anyway, you don't give a shit. Let's move on. Today we're talking about Ghosts of Black Bear Mountain by Marc Monroe and Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. Now, Marc Monroe is my friend. I know him from TikTok, and we follow each other on like Instagram and Threads and Twitter. And I wanted to read his Ghosts of Black Bear Mountain book in 2020, but I didn't, because I didn't do a lot of things in 2020. I did not do a lot of reading. I think I read Sophie's Key, and I finished a book that I started years ago. That was it. Anyway, I finally got around to reading it, I think, this year. God, 2023 has been a long year, and I'm over it. Hence why I'm drinking on camera. Sorry, Mom. But I finished Marc's book, I think, summer or spring of this year. I couldn't even read it last year. Who knows? And I'm going to tell you what it's about. So this guy, his name is Christian, I think. Can't remember if it's a last name or a first name. And he is a teacher, and he's made a very bad choice. He is addicted to a substance, and while he was on this substance, he accidentally assaulted a kid, and he was in Georgia or Alabama, I can't remember. But now he's going to a weird town in Kentucky, and I don't remember the name. It's like a mining town. If I wasn't recording on my phone, I'd look it up, but I am recording on my phone. So just for kicks and giggles, we're going to call it Beavertooth. He gets a job in, let's say, Beavertooth, Kentucky, and there's a lot of weird rules. Like, don't turn your back on an open window. Don't be out after night, after dark. And something else, like don't lock down after it's dark. Just lock down. And people are weird. The character, Mr. Christian, has made some bad choices. He's still making bad choices. He's got some laced Tylenol that he decides, I'm going to take this and drive on an empty stomach. So he crashes his Falcon. He gets shot at, and then he crosses the bridge to Beavertooth. And everybody there is just really damn weird. And he gets a job at this school, and the school is barely bigger than this room that I'm sitting in. And he's got K through 12 kids, and they're all seriously behind because this mining town doesn't really prize education. And he very much starts spiraling. There's a demon in his bathroom, a picture of a demon, and he doesn't like it. There's no open windows in his house. It's like sleeping in a tomb. He's hardly eating because he can't really afford to eat. I don't think my guy gets a whole paycheck this entire time. And he's told he's got to like go to church and everything. And then there's these ghost kids haunting him, wanting to tell him something, and they've got something they've got to say. I'm not gonna go too deep into spoilers because I'm not trying to be mean. This isn't a bad thing, but ultimately it is a basic, and in this case basic is not bad. It is a basic ghost story, and there are some elements of it that were really good, like the weird visuals of when the demon comes out and you're not sure if Christian is on his special pill or if this stuff is actually happening. And it's described, like the descriptions are really good. And everything is bloody and gory and gratuitous, and I love it. The one complaint I have is that sometimes Christian would go from a 0 to an 11,000. Like, yeah, and I know he was desperate and he was on drugs and he was like, this is my opportunity, this is my redemption. But, fam, I would have just sold my laced caplets and kept moving. Because, oh boy, you're shot at before you even enter Beavertooth, Kentucky, or whatever place this was called. And then you keep going, like, my dude. Stop. But he gets out and he doesn't really want to follow the rules. He's too good for the rules. He holds the kids late one night even though the mine whistle has sounded. And he kind of just goes from like 0 to a whole full-blown jerk. And I get that he, you know, hasn't been sleeping and whatever. But that would be like my one complaint. That would be like what takes it from 5 stars to 4. Is that there wasn't like a lot of escalation. But ultimately, it's a pretty good book. And I might just talk about all the books I've read this year. Because I'm just feeling like speed running through this. Next, we have Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. And the way I would describe this is, it's like a cake. Like if you've ever worked at Walmart, right? You know that there's the pathways. It's a bunch of computerized training that if you complete it, you get a little pin, the little Walmart star, and then you get a little cake that has the Walmart star all frosted on it. I worked at Walmart like 6, maybe 7 years ago, and I finished my pathways. And these pathways cakes are just made in a sloppy, like non-effective, don't give a shit manner. So the frosting was a little crusty, and the cake on the outside was a little crusty, but in the middle was bomb. That's what Little Thieves is like. The outsides, the beginning and the end are crusty, but the middle's good. I hate in the beginning how it's like, hi, my name is, and I think it was Vanya, and this is all of the stuff I'm going through. Here's all the exposition. And then there was some good stuff in the middle. And then at the end just, oh my gosh, I rolled my eyes until they just like fell out of my head. Instead of just going through everything, she went back and she's like, here was the plan. I hated it. I hated it so much. I hated the way this was written. I hated the narrative style. Like, first off, first person present tense just ramps up my anxiety. It's probably because it feels so full of action. I strut down the street looking at everybody who is glaring at me. I pull my jacket closer, and sometimes it just feels like it should be so rough. But anyway, I would rate this one 3 stars because it was just very by the book, young adult. So kind of like boring. Oh my gosh, and it did that thing. I love him, even though I tried to kill him. Oh, I want to be with him, but he doesn't actually love me. He loves who I am when I wear the pearls. And that's this whole thing. This redheaded girl was a servant. Her parents promised her to the gods of fate and death or some stuff like that. And because they had way too many kids, because in fake Germany, there's no, like, birth control. And so she was indentured as a servant to them. And then I guess they were like, God, you're annoying. And then they indentured her to the princessin. And her family, I think her name was Giselle. I don't remember Giselle's parents, but Giselle's a token lesbian. It's whatever. And then, Vanya starts stealing too much shit, and she ends up stealing from the wrong person, and then that person's like, oh, you want to steal jewels? Well, you're gonna become a jewel bitch. Interesting premise, right? But God, the main character made it so hard to enjoy this book. And also the of the narrator, because I listened to the audiobook and she just went full into the German words. That hurts. Why'd I do that? But Vanya has to get these jewels out of her body. She has to make amends, and she has to be a good person before she is in encrusted jewel mess, and she doesn't really try. Like, she has these sanctimonious do-gooding things where she takes all of the Von Eidelbrock, whatever, I don't remember his name, but her betrothed, because she's pretending to be the princessin, because there's magic pearls that make her go from some skinny little awkward redhead with no shape to a plump, voluptuous Scarlett Johansson type, or Christine Hendricks, or is it Christina? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, she takes the princessin's role and makes her an orphan, and then this shapeshifter with a weird voice, who I'm just gonna call Cat Lady, she is following Vanya around, and she's saying something about the Vanya, the Giselle, the this, and there's the evil guy, his name's probably Von Braun or something like that, it doesn't matter, and he wants to just take over, and he's a wizard. And then there's the prefect, and he's just cute boy with not much personality other than that, and that's really just what it is. Overall, I would give Little Thieves a 3 out of 5. Now we're going to go to another Friends book, an audiobook, and really the audiobook narrator was the problem. I'm going to say it. This book is a 3-star review. Number 1, because the audiobook narrator was the problem. Number 2, because what the hell was going on? The book is called The Unfortunate Expiration of David S. Sparks, and I don't really like long ass titles and everything, and it might have been of one David S. Sparks, and I don't know what the hell was going on. Originally you think David is like this family man, and he's been in cryo sleep or something for years, and now he's in a dystopian hellhole, and some Australian dude is like, "Oi mate, how about we go down onto this gobbledy-wompy and do some stuff?" And it's just, he's moving from place to place, and is he in the fucking world where he's a dad with like 2 kids and so happy? I don't know, maybe. Is he in the place where he's a freedom fighter, where he's getting a big van that he's gonna blow up some eco-terrorist's place? I don't know, maybe. Or is he David S. Sparks, guy who's just like, I don't understand, is this the end of the world? Am I a clone? Am I a robot? I think he was a clone. Some lady exposits it in this dome of peace. I just couldn't, man. I couldn't with this book. I had no passion for it. By the time it was done, I felt I needed to do a review, and like I said, I did the review. I recorded it, and then the sound was awful, and I was just like, fuck that, and I deleted it. So there's that. What else have I read this year? I'll get right back to you. Let's talk about 2 series now. One that I finished, and one that I'm just like, I don't think I can do this, my guy. The one that I finished is the Asylum series by David Longhorn. It's a lot like the Asylum series by Madeleine Roux. There's an asylum. There was a bad guy. He did some bad stuff. And now there's some ghosts and stuff. Crowley, I think, was the character's name. The awful doctor that operated on, let's say her name's Maria. Go away. Jeez. I could close the door, but they'd just be scratching and clawing and whining, so it is whatever. Anyway, there's the ghost of Maria. Maria's really powerful. Maria knew how to like move shit with her mind and everything. And what they're trying to do, is make this old asylum into like apartments and stuff. So there's the guy, I can't remember his name, we'll just call him Dave for the sake of it. He's American, everybody else lives in England, and Dave is able to see ghosts, and these ghosts take possession of people. One of them makes a guy, this guy, the doctor, the evil doctor, possesses this one kid, and he cuts his foreman up with some sort of saw of some kind. And there's been a lot of violence in the building. There's this woman who has a daughter who has connected with the ghost Maria, and there's a British guy, and it's an interesting series. I got all 3 for an Audible credit. Is it the most interesting series? Not really. Did I enjoy reading it? I guess. I don't know. It was one of those series where, like, the chapters are so short that when it says chapter whatever on Audible, it really means like there's chapters 4 through 8 there. But anyway, that was that. And the Ron Ripley, the Berkeley Street series is 9 books, and I'm on book 4, about 30 minutes into it. And it is more interesting, and the characters are more developed and fleshed out, but at the same time, it's the same stuff over and over again. Shane, that's his character's name, Shane Ryan. I remember that because Shane Dawson, Ryland Adams, that's how I remember that. Judge me if you want, I don't care. But Shane Ryan is going around and he can kill ghosts, and it gets interesting. The most interesting thing about it is that there's no swears, there's no sex, but when it's time to talk about an eyeball being ripped from a head, yeah, you can bet Ron Ripley's describing every sound, every smell, and every sensation. But yeah, it's just kind of the same stuff over and over again. Shane Ryan sees ghosts. He goes, he gets rid of the ghosts. He has a girlfriend. She dies. It's whatever. And then on the other audiobook we have I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, a bunch of short stories by Harlan Ellison. That's my boy. My character in The Lord, the Devil, and Him, his name is Harlan, and he has a son named Ellis. So that's my boy. Harlan Ellison is like a little 5'3", multiple divorced, crazy little man. And the thing is, the stories in between the other stories about his life and what he was going through and everything, they're more interesting than the actual stories. Like, Harlan has this, like, kind of, well, he's dead now, but he had this unfiltered way about him, especially in his writing. And I like him, and I like Algernon Blackwood and Buck Houghton or Houghton and Richard Matheson. Those are my favorite retro noir authors. Maggie Money Eyes was one of my favorite. That's where there's a girl that ends up in a slot machine, and she gives this guy this major windfall, and then he ends up in the slot machine. And apparently Maggie Money Eyes was based off of some girl that had a relationship with Harlan Ellison. And some of them just kind of end ominously, like the thing in the corner, this big black space that's eating him up because he was too full of guilt by the divorce. I recommend listening to it if you have like an Audible credit and everything, because it's got the story and where the inspiration came from. And the title thing of I Have No Mouth and Must Scream is that it's the end of the world or something, and there's this robot or this machine that's torturing these people, making them die over and over and over again. And then at the end, he has no mouth and he must scream. I'm trying to remember my absolute favorite one, and I'm kind of drawing a blank. If I remember it, I will let you know. Now, Grapes of Wrath. Yes, the one that your English teacher made you read because you had to. What's there really to say about it? Like, it's about the people who, during the Great Depression, they were told, hey, yo, they's picking grapes in California, giving people $1 a day, or something like that. And then the closer they got to it, the more they found out there was no $1 a day. It was like 10 cents an hour and all of that stuff. And we start off with Tom Joad, who is sad, and he did some things. He ended up in prison because he killed somebody, and there's lots of people that die, and it ends weird. Like, if the fucking book's like almost 100 years old, I don't think I need to give you a spoiler warning. But Tom has to go and he has to leave because he tried to defend Father Casey. And what happened was Father Casey died, and then Tom was like, oh, you don't fucking kill my friend. And then Tom killed some guy, and then they had to go and run away. And then these little brat kids that I was like, please leave these little bastards on the side of the road. They've done nothing but piss me off the entire book. These little brat kids get in a fight, and they're like, well, my uncle killed somebody, and he'll kill you too. He's killed 2 people. And then Tom has to leave. And then at the very end, there's a flood. I guess the rains have finally came because, you know, the Dust Bowl and everything. And there's this old man and a child. And Rose of Sharon had a child. She had a baby, but the baby died. And she's got to breastfeed this stranger. That was weird. To keep him alive. And it's like a good story. It's about how the poor stick together and the rich are like, oh, fuck you. It's long, so I would recommend the audiobook version. The version I got had like this, it was okay at first, but then it kind of got annoying. It was harmonica music to play to signify the chapter breaks, and some of these chapters are hours long. So do something while you listen. Next up we have Honor Thy Mother by Maurice Drainie. And this is about a black girl who was a model around about the time Naomi Campbell was coming up and being really successful and everything. So like the late 80s, early 90s. And she took a wrong turn somewhere, and somebody, I don't know if I could even say this word, but we're like pretty far into the video. Somebody attacked her and left her with child, and she was gonna get an abortion, but at the last minute she changed her mind. And then her daughter is a cop now, and she's trying to solve this murder or these assaults, because the person has started again. And it's just like, what happened? How come he was just going after all these white women before, and now he's going after like black women? What happened? And it's actually like a pretty good book, but trigger warning, I guess. It describes it like in vivid detail. And I finished this audiobook in 2 days. It's like something I would have written about 10 years ago. And I kind of just live for that kind of shit. It was one of those things where it was like, it was one of those, hey, I am Facebook and I know you support independent authors. Why not take a screenshot of this? And so I took a screenshot and I used my Audible credit to get it. I see you, Skitters. This is not a treat. It's not. It's a microphone. Anyway, next, it was a book club pick. I haven't really done very much other than this with book club. House of Salt and Sorrow. I read it really fast. It was a little YA, but honestly, I kind of liked it. I agree with, I think they're called unresolved textual tension, that she should go for horror and that YA really isn't her calling. She wanted to base it around the 12 Dancing Princesses. Ultimately, there's, I can't remember her name, so we'll call her Zoe. Zoe is, you know, there, and there's a lot of women who are dying, and they have weird names like Eulalie, Existentia, or something. And let's just, actually, I think her name's closer to Kate, but anyway, whatever. She's really sick and tired of her sisters dying. Out of 12 sisters, there's 6 left, and there's these triplets, and they have names like, they're the Graces, like honor, faith, and virtue, and whatever. And then there's these ghosts. The ghosts of her sisters are haunting this castle. And then where they're supposed to mourn for like 10 months or so, their dad has impregnated their stepmom. So their dad's like, yo, I'm gonna be a daddy again. I'm gonna get a boy this time. Hey, sit down, you yucky boy. And they stop mourning, and then Dad goes into town and gives them a bunch of fairy shoes, and I can't remember the boy's name. I remember Fisher because it's a sea town and his name's Fisher. And there's a part where they're dancing and then the veil gets dropped and the girl there, Kate, is seeing things as for what they really are. What her sisters see is just a bunch of dancing and going to balls and everything, but they're not actually going to these balls. They're just, it's all an illusion. So she's in the lighthouse and she's seeing fish chunks in the punch bowl. Like I told you, she should have stuck with horror. And then she's in a lighthouse and then she's seeing Fisher chunks. And her boyfriend Brutus or whatever is there, and he's like, this is interesting. So it is a really good book. I'm not going to spoil anything else about it. It gets dark. It gets way dark. I actually love it, and you'd be surprised. It does what the Expiration of David S. Sparks tried to do, to where it's like, what's the reality? What's the reality? Do you know? But it did it better. It summed it all up. It was very clear what the reality was and what the fiction was, and I liked that about it. Now, for the other book club pick that I didn't go to the book club, Dracula. Man, you know, I got this book. I listened to it on LibriVox years ago when I was working at Walmart. Walmart has come up twice in this video. And wouldn't you know it, I am bored out of my mind. I know, you can't say that about a classic. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And you could go ahead and you could say, well, I don't trust a bitch who drinks Coors Light anyway. I don't care. Don't trust me. I don't trust you either. I am bored. Oh my gosh. This book is so repetitive. I haven't finished it, but I've seen the Keanu Reeves version. I don't know what happens, but I'm going to pretend I do. I cannot read any more of this. I cannot listen to. It's in the public domain. Like, seriously, I wish we would have chosen something else. I even voted for other things, but my votes never count in the book club. Then, topping it all off with what I've actually finished, we have 9 Perfect Strangers. I got this audiobook because Bobby Cannavale was in the series. It is what it is. There's 9 strangers. They all go to a retreat. There's the author. There's an actor. I don't remember why he's there. There's a gay man. I don't remember why he's there either. And then there's a troubled family. The troubled family should have been the forefront of this because the troubled family had a son who committed suicide on his twin sister's birthday. And they were more interesting, but the author just whines about this review that she didn't get. Oh, and there's also a couple that won a lot of money and the spark is out of their relationship. And then there's, what is Marcia, the tall Russian that is basically, this bitch was Nicole Kidman before Nicole Kidman even played her in the thing. And the audiobook narrator had a little bit of, she was good. She was able to distinguish between, you know, different accents and everything like that. Her male accent, which that's something I want to say about Ron Ripley's audiobook narrator. Every single female character in those books sounds like the trickster's voice from TikTok. It doesn't matter if it's Courtney or Megan or the ghost or whatever. If the character is a woman, she sounds like the voice from TikTok. So ultimately, yes, a bad audiobook narrator can ruin a good book. But I'm not going to continue the Ron Ripley series anyway. Like I said, I'm on book number 4 or maybe 5. I don't remember, but I don't Oh, he's in the VA hospital. If you've read it, you've read it. Basically, like, there's ghosts in his house. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but there's ghosts in his house. There's ghosts by this lighthouse. There's ghosts in this ghost town. And now there's ghosts in the VA hospital. And I'm bored. But anyway, Nine Perfect Strangers had a good audiobook narrator. I was really into it. I was really enjoying it. I honestly thought that there was going to be some crazy shit going on. And there was for a while. And then, oh my god, it had to end way more times than The Return of the King ended. And I was done. I was super done. I've got 4 books I'm needing to finish. Mostly arcs. And, hey, this author needs reviews. Buy her book and give her reviews. They are Wounds of Ash by K.L. Hester, I think. I'm enjoying that one. I've got 66 pages left. It's about something called a Wyvani, and there's this girl named Aaliyah, and then there's Ringada, and a Wyvani can control a Ringada's magic, but a Wyvani doesn't really have their own magic. Stop being noisy, baby boy. And it's doing what another book is doing, but better. There's a wounded, sad boy that has lost his beloved to something horrible. And what I love about it is that it's subverting my expectations, where I think this person's going to be the villain the entire time. Nope. Someone shows up and breaks all of his bones. It was quite awesome. Oh, hey, this is going to be going this way. Nope. Subvert your expectations again. Subvert. And that's why I'm still reading it. Whereas there's another one that I love this person. She is my friend, but she is not subverting my expectations. It's the same thing with sad boy that's troubled and is having a hard time. He's lost somebody and there's some perfect little hot girl right there, but he can't have her. It's so cursed. And I'm like, will you two just fuck already? I know they're like interspersing it between this mafia stuff, but I just want these two to bone. I'm halfway through and no penis has entered a vagina. I'm ready to quit. Then there's the third one. It was also an arc. It's called A Cry of Crows by CSS Shows. And it's about a girl named Annabeth who goes to a haunted campus where a long time ago a witch killed her whole coven and then went kind of genocidal on the Native Americans too. I need more beer. Get myself a tall boy. So Annabeth is trying to uncover that, and that there's been like a woman disappear almost every 26 years or so. And one of them last year set herself on fire, and they're like, oh, it was a suicide. Who commits suicide by self-immolation? That's metal as fuck. Oh god, that tastes much better. Anyway, Annabeth's trying to get to that. She's joined a secret society to get into the sorority. And that's as far as I've got right now. And then I got Jenna Moressi's book, Eve the Awakening. And if you know what that's about, I don't need to say any more. But for those that don't, it's about a girl named Eve. Obviously. That's a chimera. And then there's these interlopers. They're the big scary aliens with like razor sharp teeth and razor sharp claws. And they're infecting this town of Billington, and this is a spoiler, they're looking like regular people. They're able to use the skin of a regular person. My complaint is that, good God, Jenna, I know that you don't even want to even acknowledge this book, but can anyone who read maybe The Savior's Champion tell me, are her chapters all about fucking 30 to 60 pages long? Because I am a bitch that cannot handle long chapters. The Grapes of Wrath doesn't count. That was an audiobook. And a lot of stuff happened. But The Grapes of Wrath does a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to do. Like head hopping. But who really cares? It's like 17 characters. Tom, Mom, Tom Sr., Tom's brother, the guy that impregnated Rose of Sharon, and all that. And I'm hoping to get all 4 of those books done by the end of the year. I will probably get Wounds of Ash done. It's interesting. I actually recommend that one. One thing that I don't like, though, is that Aaliyah is always, like, needing to be saved. And I'm like, fight for yourself for once. They're probably like, oh, I'm so tired of having to save you. I'm sorry. But other than that, I've been reading some pretty good books this year. I've been listening to some pretty good audiobooks. I'm following some interesting narrators and authors on TikTok. Keeping it interesting. It's been an okay year creative-wise. I have 2 books that I'm going to bring out next year. They are called Flashes of Madness, which is like short story fiction because I was inspired by Harlan Ellison to just put a lot of my short stories into a book, a collection of 26. I've got about 21 and I've got 4 more to go, and I'm just waiting for the inspiration to strike because I cannot force this stuff, and that's why I don't fuck with Nano. That's why I'm doing a wrap up of whatever, and then I'm going to do it. And The Fall of Agnes Blackwood is set for a release on May 17th. And if you listen to industrial music from the 90s, you might know why May 17th is important. It's Trent Reznor's birthday. There you go. And the song Reptile inspired this whole story that I have been working on, I think, since high school. I finally found a place for the fucking snake people. Anyway, it's been nice chatting with you all. I hope this video gets more than 12 views. I was going to do just an individual review, but I've been reading so many books and doing so much this year that I'm just like, let's just do it all. I think I'm going to do this more often. I like doing the 2 at a time review, but that's when I have a lot more to say. But when you've recorded it twice, you're just like, no, fuck it, I don't care. I will see you next time. I don't know when that is. See ya.